What's up, everybody? This is Destroy R, captain of your Washington Wake draft team. I'm here today with my first ever draft analysis video. I joined recently a new league, the Soldu Association. Seems like a really cool place to play. Know a few people that are there, getting to know a few more, and everybody seems really nice and cool, so excited to play with them. I am in the Latias division. Latias is a non-upload required division. They do have upload required divisions there as well. But hey, we're just trying things out for the first time and excited to have an opportunity to do that. So starting out with my draft, my first pick, which I think was the number 4 overall pick, mon that I have not used before ever in draft. I've used it a little bit outside of draft. Always wanted to give it a try, and this was my opportunity, so I was really excited about that. It is Urshifu, single strike. Main thing that I liked about Urshifu is just a really strong physical attacker. It's got Wicked Blow, which is an always crit move, which is awesome because it ignores defense boosts, it ignores screens, and it just hurts stuff quite a bit. It's got that. It's kind of its primary stab move. It's also got close combat, drain punch, number of other fighting type moves as well. It's got coverage moves like Ice Spinner. It's got Iron Head, Poison Jab. Got some setup options as well with Sword Stance, Trailblaze, Bulk Up. Just got a variety of options. Kind of the primary reason again that I drafted it was to be sort of a wall breaker into something with immediate power. There's very few things that can just stand in front of Urshifu and take hits from him without having any kind of recourse. It's got Stab Sucker Punch, always nice to have priority. And yeah, so yeah, its biggest struggle with Urshifu is it's got a 4 times weakness to fairies. But hey, that's why we have teammates. Which is why I made my next pick, which was Galarian Slowking. Probably the best, in my opinion, the best switch into fairy types in general. Of course, there's always situational differences for everything, but Slowking is primarily specially defensive. Most fairies are also special attack oriented. Sorry. It's got decent physical bulk as well, and depending on how you build it with EVs, you can take both physical and special attacks. It's a pivot as well, a slow pivot, and so it resists fairy. You can switch it in, take a fairy hit easily. Slow pivot with chilly reception, so you can get out of there without dealing any damage to the next thing that you want to switch in, because Slowking is taking all the hits for it. Works really well with its ability Regenerator, so you can come in time and time again, take a hit, and pivot out safely. It can also stay in and attack if it wants. It's got, I think, 110 base special attack, which isn't too shabby. Even uninvested, it can do pretty good damage. If you invest in special attack, it can do surprising amounts of damage. It can set up with Calm Mind, with Nasty Plot. It can do tricks like, well, the Move Trick in the Move Trick room. Future Sight can be a really nice move for wall breaking and kind of longer contentious matchups. You can attack now and have it do some significant damage a couple of turns later. Yeah, it can do status, Thunder Wave, Yawn, just a lot of cool support moves. Really nice Pokemon, and it's a perfect complement, in my opinion, to Urshifu. It in itself is weak to Ghost and Dark moves, which Urshifu resists, and so they're just a really nice pair that I've been wanting to try out. Next up, we have our primary special attacker, Iron Bundle, another one that I haven't actually tried before. Used it lightly outside of draft, never tried it in draft. It's pretty much one of the top speed tier Pokemon in the game. There are things faster than it, but it's really close to the top. It can also utilize Booster Energy as a Paradox Pokemon, which can make it even faster and not be choice locked. But depending on the matchup, choice items like Scarf or Specs can be used. It's an unresisted stab combination because of the move Freeze Dry. So with Freeze Dry and with Hydro Pump, it can do at least neutral damage to any Mon in the game. Hydro Pump only has 80% accuracy, which is a little bit shoddy at times, but still a really good Mon, really fast, and again, it's just amazing to always have the fastest Mon out there, or one of them. It also benefits from Slowking with the Snow. Snow makes Blizzard 100% accurate. Iron Bundle also can do Aurora Veil, which needs Snow to set up, and so it's got a couple of tricks like that that can benefit from the Snow coming from Galarian Slowking. One of its weaknesses, Fighting, also resisted by Galarian Slowking. It's actually decent physical bulk. As an Ice type, it gets a 1.5 boost to its physical defenses in the Snow. Its special defenses are a little more shoddy, but again, that's where Galarian Slowking shines, as having a high special defense stat especially, and so it can really help out complementing Iron Bundle as well. Next up, we have my first Tera Captain. And I should say, one of the reasons why I was interested in joining this league is because they had kind of higher tier Tera Captain options available. Most drafts only allow you to use use Tera on lower tier, cheaper, less powerful Mon. And so, Thundurus is typically Tera banned in most leagues. He was not in this one. I wanted to test him out, and so here he is. He's got a 145 base special attack, really strong. He can boost it further with Nasty Plot. He's got two immunities, ground immunity due to being a flying type, as well as having the ability Volt Absorb, giving him a electric immunity. So immunities are always great. He's got Volt Switch and U-Turn for momentum. Can switch in and take a hit, potentially be immune to something that's threatening another Mon. Iron Bundle, for example, can be attacked with electric moves, and Thundurus can switch in and take those easily. Galarian Slowking is weak to ground, and again, Thundurus is immune to that. Another opportunity for it to potentially switch in and get a free turn. The reason why I picked these Tera types, Flying, Thundurus does not have any special flying stab moves that are worth anything. And so having Tera Blast as a flying stab option, it'll get a double stab because it gets its normal stab typing from being a flying type, as well as the additional Tera stab boost. So it just gives it a nice, strong, special flying move. There aren't a lot of great flying moves in this game, as far as special ones specifically, that aren't compromised by accuracy or other issues, and so having that with Tera Blast I think will really be nice in a lot of situations. Tera Ice I'll talk about first. With Electric and Ice, you have essentially perfect coverage to at least have neutral damage on, I believe, every Mon, or just about every Mon in the game. A lot of times a ground type will come in to counter an electric type like Thundurus, and typically they are weak, or at least taking neutral damage, if not more, from a Tera Blast Ice. So it just makes it a huge offensive threat to have that combo. They call it the Bolt Beam combo because of Ice Beam and Thunderbolt, kind of when this was being used a lot competitively, or that combination number of generations ago when it kind of first emerged. Fairy is my final. I did not draft any fairies in this draft, and so you'll see with one of my other Tera Captains as well, it's also a fairy type, because fairy is just a really important type to have. There's lots of really strong dragons out there, outraging, scale shotting, just doing horrendous things that you want to be able to have an answer to. And so having a fairy can stop them in their tracks, or even just having the threat of having a Terra Fairy or a fairy on your team can make them rethink some of their strategies. Also, it resists Sucker Punch, so that's always nice as well when you have a fast Mon. Sometimes if they can't outspeed you, they'll be able to out priority you, and Sucker Punch seems to be one of the more common priority moves that's out there, and so having a Terra typing to resist that, like Fairy, can help you survive a hit from a priority move and keep on going. Okay, next we have Forretress. I picked Forretress not just because he's a big thick boy, which is helpful. We do like that he's a thick boy because he's very physically defensive. I think he's got 140 base physical attack. He can take a couple of hits for you. He can pivot with Volt Switch, come in and take a hit, move on back out. He also just has good roll compression. He can set hazards. He can set Stealth Rock as well as spikes, and he can also rapid spin. So you always want to have hazard options. You don't have to bring them every week necessarily, but you want to have them as options. You always want to have hazard removal options as well, or you're going to be in trouble. And I wanted to capture both of those things in the same Pokemon. If I want to bring them both in a week, I just got to bring one Mon instead of two. And it allowed me to have a higher budget to be able to draft additional Mons that I've been interested in using. So yeah, here he is. Next, we have Pelipper. Was not planning at all on having a rain team. I was looking at this point in the draft, a couple of different bulky waters just to kind of fill out my defensive profile. Pelipper was a little bit more expensive than some of those by a couple of points. Not quite as defensive as some of them, but he's pretty physically defensive. He can roost. He can U-turn for momentum purposes. He can hit reasonably well with Hurricane and with Surf or some kind of water move with its own rain that it sets. Its rain helps out with weaknesses for a couple of other teammates. I do have a few things that are weak to fire. Forretress, that we just looked at before, is 4 times weak to fire. 2 times weak is still not great, but this does take the edge off for certain physical moves that might otherwise one-hit kill it. It might be able to actually survive a hit or two. And there's a few Mon on my team that are benefiting from rain. You'll see the next one I'm going to show you is probably the biggest beneficiary, but also Iron Bundle. Iron Bundle has Hydro Pump with the rain boost. It's going to do really heavy damage, assuming it hits. So big boost to Bundle's attack there. Also for Thundurus. Thundurus has the move Thunder, which has 70% accuracy outside of the rain and 100% in the rain. And so helps to give additional power to Bundle, helps to give additional accuracy to a powerful move to Thundurus, and it helps out with my next Mon, who is Barraskewda. Barraskewda in the rain is the fastest Mon in the game. It can even pretty much anything with booster energy or Scarf. It can also outspeed in the rain. The one exception to that is Regieleki with a Choice Scarf. Deoxys Speed, which I think is the next fastest thing under Regieleki, if it has a Choice Scarf, it will still be slower than a max speed rain boosted Barraskewda. So I just wanted to have the fastest option in the game. It's faster than Unburdened Sneasler, other Unburdened Mon. It's just nice to be top tier speed. Hits reasonably hard as well, especially rain boosted. First Terra type I chose for it was to further boost that damage for liquidation, kind of. So it's primary stab move. Can also kind of spam flip turn, get in and out, and deal significant damage at the same time with flip turn. But Terra Water helps to boost that quite a bit, in addition to stab and in addition to the rain boost and whatever other choice band or damage boosting items that I might decide to run. So that Terra is just there for sheer power. Grass is there for coverage. Kind of the biggest things that will slow down Barraskewda are a bulky water type. Doesn't really have any super effective natural coverage moves for a water type. There's also a number of water absorb mons out there. Usually they're water types or they're a ground type that has that ability. So something like Quagsire, Gastrodon, if it wants to come in and soak up a flip turn or soak up a liquidation, it's going to have to run the risk of eating a 4 times effective grass Terra Blast when it does that. So make them think twice, if nothing else, and just help to give us some additional coverage to break through teams. Last Terra type I chose was Fighting. Similar to why I picked Fairy for Thundurus, it's a typing that resists Sucker Punch. And so, when you're the fastest mon in the game, a lot of times they'll try and stop you with priority, and while Fighting doesn't resist all priority moves, it does resist probably the most common priority move. So yeah, gives a defensive resistance to that. One of its best coverage moves is Close Combat as far as power, and so going Terra Fighting also will add a significant boost to that coverage move, which I'm sure will be helpful in certain situations. Next we have our last of our 3 Terra captains. This is my boy Crocalor. So Croc is kind of an unassuming Pokemon. He's a middle evolution. He's the pre-evolution to Skeledirge, of course. Because of Eviolite, he can be very, very thick. I think with a pure defensive profile, he is more defensive and can take more hits than Skeledirge can. Doesn't have the Ghost subtyping, doesn't have the same offensive profile that Skeledirge has, and he pretty much has to run Eviolite, so he doesn't get that item slot, which is kind of a big deal as well. But he can Terra. He was very cheap, and for his price, especially, he can really be an MVP type Pokemon in a given week. So the Terra types that I picked out, Terra Fairy is just one of the best defensive typings that there is. Again, we were talking about with Thundurus, there's a number of scary dragons out there. Even without dragons, it only has 2 weaknesses. Its weaknesses are to poison as well as steel. And so it's just a good defensive typing. It kind of borrows that from Skeledirge. When Skeledirge is able to Terra and other formats, it's almost always Fairy, or that's one of its most common. Grass is to kind of prevent a couple of its natural weaknesses to water and ground. We can go Terra Grass in those situations and survive those types of hits. Also gives us another offensive weapon to attack those types, because fire does not do much to water, obviously. And he really doesn't have a lot of coverage options overall. One of kind of the downfalls of Crocalor is pretty much got fire moves, and that's about it. So his Terra types here will give him some additional offensive profile as well as defensive profile. Ghost is another great defensive typing. A couple of immunities to fighting as well as normal, and it can also rapid spin block. So when I'm setting out hazards with Forretress or with my next Pokemon that I'm going to show you guys, opponent's going to want to come in and use Rapid Spin to get rid of those things. If we have a Ghost to throw in front of them, they're not able to use Rapid Spin and not able to get rid of those hazards. So next up, second to last, we have my guy Levani. Levani, I really didn't know much about or ever take a second look at prior to last couple of draft seasons. But it's really kind of a star, and I've really grown to like it. It's always a cheap Pokemon to obtain. Its kind of primary use and gimmick is sticky webs. Having sticky web is just a big threat to any team. Even if I never bring Levani to a single match, the fact that I have a sticky web option on my team forces other teams to kind of plan around that. They need to bring hazard removal. They need to bring heavy duty boots if not, or have some kind of a plan to deal with having sticky webs out. A couple of my Mons, like Thundurus specifically. Thundurus is, I think, a 101 base speed Pokemon, which is decently fast, but it's slower than a lot of stuff. Sticky web support for something like that could be huge. Levani also has a number of kind of utility options, like dual screens, both reflect and light screen. And it's kind of a sneaky good attacker as well. It's got Swords Dance, it's got Triple Axle, number of grass moves, it's got fighting type coverage with low kick, knockoff as well. So sometimes people will be kind of prepared for webs and get surprised by a Triple Axle to the face. It can definitely sweep in the right circumstances. Kind of mid speed. It gets chlorophyll. We don't have Sun on this team, unfortunately, to help it out with that. But it could potentially set its own webs and sweep afterwards with its own webs if you've got enough coverage options still with your move slots there. But yeah, just a good Mon to have. And lastly, certainly not least, we have Kyurem. Somehow Kyurem made it all the way to the end of the draft, and I actually picked him up in the grace period after the draft was over. I didn't have any dragons. I love dragons, it's my favorite type. Felt like I needed one. I've never tried Kyurem before. Kyurem is a big threat because nobody can really comfortably switch into it, at least not until you know what it is. It's got 120 base physical as well as 120 based special attack. So it can be either one of those. It can be choice specs, Dragon Dance, physical attacker. It can be a mixed set as well. And so certain walls are kind of one-dimensional, either special or physical, and having the ability to be either or both really can help break down certain walls. It's another one that's kind of mid-speed. It's only 95 base speed, which outspeeds all the slow stuff, but loses to most of the fast stuff. It can boost its speed, of course, with Dragon Dance. Another one that could potentially benefit from having sticky web support from Levani. Great move pool. It's got more, I think, special type coverage than it does physical type coverage. But yeah, just a really cool Mon. It can benefit from the snow that'll be set by Galarian Slow King in a number of our matches. 1.5 physical defense boost to ice types. So that's it for the team. Just kind of a little quick preview of what our season looks like. It's a 9-game season. These are our opponents. A couple of these teams I've played before. Maestro Meloetta has beat me a number of times recently. Really good player. Played him the most, I think, out of all these. I'm actually an admin in league that he owns, which is Meloetta Draft League. We'll be doing some videos from current draft that's happening right now in that league as well, coming soon. But yeah, he's beat me a lot. That's going to be a really tough match. Super Bash Brothers played once. He beat me. Hungry Hariyamas, I played once and I won, but it was a really close match and was a really smart player. So none of those 3 matches are going to be very easy. We know that. Also, Sydney Slow Kings is the most recent champion, I believe, in this Soldew Association. So we got former champ in week 2. Pekatonica Fire Squirrels are also a former championship team here. So yeah, we got a number of really tough matchups here. other 4 I haven't played or really heard about at this point in time. They could all be dangerous aces. We're going to find out. We're going to record it all, and you guys will see as it happens. So thanks for watching the video. Looking forward to the season, and hope you guys will look forward to and enjoy some of these matches as well.